Do you remember by any chance a game called LittleBigPlanet? If you do remember it, that's good. That's great. Listen, can I tell you something? I kind of wish Sony could remember it too, man.
It's been 10 years. Please come back, Sackboy. I miss you.
I am just not the same without you. Welcome back to the charlesHowle channel, where we tell stories about video games. Today is the tale of a charming platformer that I fell in love with as a child, now left rotting outside in the back alley of Sony studio. But it's also how newer content for a game you loved as a kid feels like a downgrade, and generally how nostalgia affects our perspective on games. What was LBP's biggest appeal, and still is how easily accessible its level creator was. You could just pass anyone the controller and they'll get the gist of it in a matter of minutes. Sure, the quality of the level may vary slightly, but still, they made a level for a damn video game, something that was pretty much only reserved for developers at the time. Even crazier is that you could load up the level editor in co-op and just make a level together. I had some of the coolest time just messing around with a friend of mine here. We'd always try to one-up each other's creations. Mostly mine would consist of vehicles with a bomb launcher attached somewhere. Other times I was on a mission of breaking the game by either making the most powerful rocket man has ever flown, or what's essentially a Sackboy particle accelerator. We'd also mess around with the different parameters of the level, with the gravity, and then have floating battles with this dagger prop we'd scale up and down and just swing around. All that's really left of that now is the wasteland and memories of those battles. It's crazy to think I haven't heard about this guy for almost a decade now. I hope wherever he is, he's doing better for himself. Sadly, online game platforms, especially Roblox, are now solely used by kids for profit. It's not surprising this shift happened. The more kids are making, the more Roblox is making off of them. You can put some of the blame also on the rise of social medias, teaching them that they need to make a mill before their balls even drop. But the point is, we didn't care back then about starting a business or being famous before 16. We just thought it was super cool making levels for our friends. The levels in the story mode may be the most creative use of the platforming genre, of some of the most memorable characters as well as a captivating plot, but at the end of the day, what I really want to play is best Mortal Kombat level ever. That may or may not contain the popular hit I'm Sexy and I Know It, recorded with what seems to be the audio quality of a microwave, aka what video games were always meant to be. The levels I played back then were probably all made out of passion by some kid my age living thousands of kilometers away from me, yet they're all forever ingrained in my head. I remember the level where you have to survive sharks as long as possible, another Angry Bird themed bomb drop, and especially that Jeff the Killer game. That old friend I talked about earlier would always put it on and I'd always panic and quit the game. Listen, I was a wuss, a total wuss. Just the idea of playing a horror game would freak me out. That's how young I was. The community of LBP is one of the most unique and welcoming communities I had the chance to be part of in its prime, and it's one that, although I wouldn't call myself part of anymore, is still dear to me. After the major success of the first two, a third game only makes sense, and I never felt more disappointed in a release. Let me tell you a little story all about the two big follow-ups to the Small Giant Globe series, LittleBigPlanet 3 and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. I won't talk about the karting game because like who gives a shit? The other LittleBigPlanet games knew what they were supposed to be. The main theme of the LittleBigPlanet universe is creativity. You would be first introduced to a mechanic, and then after, they would show you a dozen ways to use that tool, which would then again make you think of unique ways to use it in the level creator. LBP 3 shows you can be a dog, and then you can throw that bitch in the trash because you're never seeing him again. That's right. Thus, not many people use the dog in their levels. A shame, because he's pretty cool. I think his name is like Oddsock. Like, why is it odd? Did you fucking comment it?
Rock fucking solid, baby.
Rock solid.
Another problem is that every level just feels the same in its structure. It's all just cookie cutter platformer levels. But to me, LBP levels were never just platformers. Sometimes it would be a real shooter, others a shoot 'em up, and that is just sometimes 8-ball. You never knew what the next level was hiding. So, to me, LittleBigPlanet 3 doesn't feel like what the LittleBigPlanet experience should be. I don't feel the childlike creativity I feel when I'm voyaging through the factory of a better tomorrow, or Avalonia. I feel just a general disappointment. Sackboy, a big adventure, dude, what a stupid name by the way, is even more egregious. To put my dad's input on this, the game just feels like a Mario game, not a LittleBigPlanet game. They weirdly integrated a lot of movement, like a roll and a double jump. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, it's a 3D platformer with no way to make your own levels. But even if that seems like a big change, just you wait. There's no trace of the beloved voice actor of the narrator, Stephen Fry. It's personally one of the things that I remember the most, and I think it's one of the things I missed the most in this game.
I mean, you guys also remember it, right? I mean, his voice was just so iconic.
Go ahead, do the jiggy shaker, the sack shaker. Give me the sack shaker, sack thing. Shake your sack booty. Take your hands off it and shake that booty. Pull your zipper up, I know you can shake it. Shake it. Oh yes, that's some sack booty right there.
Well, guys, it's maybe that or either the problem with LBP3 is just that maybe I'm getting old.
I want to prefix this by saying that I'm not that old. I'm just at an age where I'm starting to have some real nostalgia, and maybe you are too. I'm at a point where I can say I just got a bit of experience, a little taste of what life is. I'm not the kid that picked his nose and ate his boogers anymore. Now I just don't eat them. That joke sucks. Why is it there? I'm getting out of track. What I'm saying is that why I'm not attached to any characters from the LittleBigPlanet 3 and the Sackboy Big Adventure is just likely due because they simply weren't and never will be part of my childhood. It's kind of a sad realization. I'll never be able to experience a new entry to this series the same way I did as a kid. Because back then, all that mattered for me was if I could beat that level or be at the top of the lobby's leaderboard. I didn't have to care about having a future. School was a joke, as you might have heard before. It was the easiest thing ever, right? Making social connection was so easy as well. You would basically be friends with everyone, no matter how different you were personally wise. And no one was chronically addicted to their phones yet. It was mostly just something you could download some stupid games from and just goof off with your friends. If you ask me, seriously, what's the most fun I had with a cell phone ever, it's not going to be like the many times I doom scrolled for upon hours and hours. It was just pretending to shoot guns with my, with that one application with my friends, and also that one where you could like drink beer, and that other one where like it can like detect ghosts, like some ghostly apparition and stuff with your camera. And now that I think about it, that's what I miss the most, I think, from video games. It's the physical connection you could make with your friends, or anyone for that matter. Playing games over Discord will never beat having to connect through that awful Nintendo DS Connect, no matter how long it took. Hey, those who know, hey, they know. I'll tell you what. And like, I didn't care if it took like a whole year to play with my friends with that thing, because nothing mattered to me. I was just having fun.
Dude, is that a message error? Dude, fucking come on, man.
You see it so often on YouTube, people screaming at top of the hills how video games feel so boring nowadays. I don't want to get into this whole debate, but personally, I've never been more into video games in my life than as of right now, and that's majorly because I quit playing League of Legends, started visiting some classic, played new indie games, and that all kind of reignited that passion I had once as a kid. And I really suggest you do the same. You know, it doesn't have to be quitting League of Legends, it can be any like live service game, because those, like, they are so trash. Go play some good games, my friend. Yes. Another reason so many people came to the conclusion that games were boring now is that all the games they played back then seemed so perfect. And I think it has to do a lot with how perfect they thought their life was too. Except if you had a rough childhood, as kids we were just too ignorant to realize that our life until then were average at best. The smallest things could make us so happy. Personally, I'd get so overjoyed being able to stay up late and grind Terraria. But now, that just feels like a common thing I do before going to bed. It's nothing new that people feel that life gets stale as you grow. I really don't think this way. It's really just how you look at it. The things you did back then aren't too different from what you're doing now. Every experience was a new one, and also you simply were happier back then, so naturally, everything you did seemed to bring you so much more happiness. Revisiting old games you used to play as a kid can feel so disappointing at times. Even nostalgia can cover up the worst aspects of a game. Still, I wouldn't discourage you to go out and see the games you used to dabble with. Weirdly enough, it's also humanizing to find out how bad the games were. It's satisfying to find out you didn't have quite the best taste in medias. I'd really like to show how I was born with an acquired taste of the best, the cream of the crop, banger after banger. But I'm also the same guy that really enjoyed Rabbids TV Party for the Wii. And I think that might just, deserve a public execution or something. Wait, I'm not even fucking kidding. IGN gave it a 7. A 7's pretty good, right? I guess I really just had the finest taste as a kid. Whoa, what? Huh? What is this? Maybe a 7's pretty bad. Well, at least they're being consistent. Man, Looking at other people play this game, they're all having so much fun. But that's having a blast. My little sister too, and hell, even my older sister, who I used to play the second game with, sees it as one of the best games she has played recently. In a way, I feel kind of left out, and it's my fault. I just care too much. So, I forgive Sumo Digital for making what I thought was a stain in this perfect franchise. Looking back, yeah, it was kinda stained from the start. And hey, I recommend checking that game out if you're interested. You may like it, or may not. I don't know, man. It's not a great idea to get your opinions on game from me. I'm not a critic, or just your average dude bro that misses when the games were good. Anyways, although I can forgive Sumo Digital for LBP3, I can't be as merciful with Sony for what they have done with their beloved franchise. But boys, before we continue, I want to make a small message of great importance. As you know, I'm charlesHowle. Here, I like to make the content I want to make, instead of just following trends. And turns out, I'm also a big fan of not wasting your time. On YouTube, you just know that makes me an underdog, right? It's like David versus Goliath. The odds are not in my favor. But thank you, my lord Milmohan, because you, the viewer, can help me greatly by simply liking this video and maybe even subscribing. Those 2 clicks go a long way, my friend. If you don't want to, I completely understand, and I hope that you can still have as much fun watching this as I had making it. Thank you again. Nintendo may not have the best hardware in the market, but you know what they have? Exclusives. It's a darn mess for other publishers to port their games to the Switch. It always ends up playing at 30 FPS in like 360p, because the Switch graphic card is somehow closer to that of a washing machine than the PS5. But no one bought a Switch to play a game made by anyone but Nintendo. It really seems like they're the only one that can make a game for their own console, and when they do, it's unbelievably polished. There's few in the industry that were able to continue on game franchises from the 80s and somehow always improved and innovated on their original ideas in a way that never felt out of place. That's how Nintendo is still doing so well in the industry, and why I still recommend the Switch despite its terrible specs, eShop and online services. Now, let's take a look at the exclusives of the PS5. I feel like there'd be more exclusives at Olive Garden. What is this, man? If it wasn't sad enough of a library, these 2 games are a remake, and this Gunner game is coming to PC in the near future. I hope you like Spider-Man. When people say the PS5 has no games, it's not that there's actually 0 game to play, but rather that none of the games are exclusive to the PS5. But it wasn't always this way. Gran Turismo, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Twisted Metal, Final Fantasy 7-12, Tekken, Medieval, Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, God of War, Shadow of the Colossus, Ico, Ape Escape, and The Legend of Dragoon. These were all massive games at some point in time. Here's the one that got a PlayStation exclusive on the PS5. There's people working on making exclusive for those games on the PS5. You may wonder, where are they? That's right, here's the office for Concord 2 because the first one was so massive they had to shut it down. So that brings me back to the question, what did Sony do to our beloved Sackboy and what will they do to him? We can answer both of these questions with one simple word. Nothing. If anything, Sony's actively trying to shut anything LBP down. Let me show you what happened to the LBP franchise through a slightly dramatic reenactment of what happened earlier this year. Huh, could it really be? It's Kenichiro Yoshida, the CEO of Sony. What is he doing in a place like this?
Hello, charlesHowle. I heard from my friends from Media Molecule you were a big fan of our franchise LittleBigPlanet. I have brought you news as for the future of this game.
Thanks, man, but it's like very early in the morning, like, what? Like, it better be important. Are you guys making a new one? It's been like 10 years, why now?
If that helps, think about what we have done to the series in the past years and just imagine the next step.
So you made a card game, it was pretty bad. You made fucking mobile game, which was pretty bad. But you made Sackboy Big Adventure, which was pretty cool, but like didn't feel LBP at all. And then you deleted all the fucking level 1 and 2, but you did port them to LBP 3 in an act of mercy, I guess.
Was it really an act of mercy or rather a convenient way to get rid of the community in a fell swoop?
What, dude? What, you're gonna shut everything down? You're gonna shut everything down?
That's right, Charles. Through heaven and earth, I alone direct the worst company.
Dude, I have to stop you, man. I'm sorry.
You PlayStation fans piss me off. How entitled can you be? The 10-year wait time was all worth it. Few CEOs know this. I believe only EA and Ubisoft knows about this too. Take the amplified from fans waiting for a sequel for nearly 10 years and the reversal of crushing all they ever loved in front of them, then smash those two different expressions of infinity to create and push out an imaginary reaction. Imaginary technique, hollow disappointment. Take that AI-written apology like the dog you are.
There's no games! There's no games on it!
In a world where imagination is king, an ancient evil stirs to threaten the very survival of the cosmos. They call it the Negativitron.
There's nothing!
But what can stop the unstoppable? This world needs only one thing. It needs a hero.
There is nothing on this machine.
Man, devilishly handsome, impossibly statuesque, the only hope. Hey, see you soon, Ace. I'm out of here.
Look at this sad-ass motherfucker, Charles, man. I got this notification and my heart sank. Just feel like shit, man. Take that off. Change your picture, dude. I don't want that sad-ass
It is a $600 Netflix machine.
Through the many changes that happened to this project over time, the end is what was rewritten the most. Because frankly, I don't have any clue how to end this. Today is the 10th of October 2024. In a month, LittleBigPlanet 3 will celebrate its 10th anniversary. I was sort of worried that some announcement would come out as I pushed back the release of this project, making it age like milk on arrival. But in a sort of bittersweet way, those worries are gone. Because 2 days ago, on the 8th, a statement was released stating the removal of LBP 3 of the PlayStation Store. I think that's more than enough to confirm Sony doesn't want to do anything with that franchise, and frankly, that sucks. It's far from being my favorite entry in the franchise, but it was for some. Although there's still allegedly ways to play this game through emulation, for many it's a hassle to dump their own ROMs from the childhood games they legally own in the just as legal PCX4. It's such a weird timing too, how this is all happening with the massive success of Astrobot. It's a genuinely great game with so much love jammed into it, so many references made to iconic games, of course with the first mention of Bloodborne and a PlayStation game since the DLC, but when I see Astro's simple design cosplaying as other characters, all I can see is Sackboy doing the same. Astro is only more hip, more detailed. Sackboy's design is stuck in a time where party glasses existed and neon colors were everywhere. Astro is simply more modern, and that's why he got to be the star of this amazing game, and Sackboy got the dumpster. My question for Sony is what will happen to Astro when his modernism will turn to vintage? Are you going to repeat the same error, or Astro's the one to stay? Will you neglect him out of your branding when you make a couple of mistakes? Will you turn silent on its fans when the money's not rolling in? I know Sony, the community, as well as me, will just move the fuck on. Like, man, I've got some things to work out in life, and an old plush guy ain't my first focus. Hey, no, I'm sorry, man. You can still stay, though, in the back somewhere, on my shelf, next to a dusty PlayStation 3. Because moving the fuck on is the best thing this community can do for themselves. Because Sony's not going to do shit, but you should still continue to bond over the love of this little Sackboy that represents so much, where people found out they love to animate, to make games, to tell stories. Sony might be able to deny its existence, but if enough people keep Sackboy in their shelves, That game can only be shut down when its community gives its last breath. Because Sony can deny its existence, but it just can't deny its influence.